keep the calorie base down.
Yeah, but they've still got a little bit of sweetness to them. But yeah, it's just a matter of getting used to that squeaky polystyrene
Squeaky
texture.
dryness.
And it takes all the moisture out of your mouth as well, doesn't it?
Out your face, your whole face.
But yeah, anyway,
You're like a prune.
I am now a rice cake fan.
This is your popcorn pundits giving you rice cake
Ingredients.
advice.
Yeah, they take the water out your face.
They
There
do.
we go.
If you look like a prune,
If you're looking to remove the water from your face, a rice cake is the way.
it's the best place.
Were you trying to rhyme that then, Peter?
I wasn't, but if it came out, I'll take it.
Okay, fair.
Popcorn pundits.
That podcast.
Week 34.
Week 34.
Who are we and why are we here?
We are the Popcorn Pundits, and we are a weekly reviewing team.
The dream team.
We are here to
Right there.
ensure that you know what's going on at the cinema. We take it on the chin sometimes, but we also lead the path to ensure that you know exactly what's going on a big silver screen.
This week, we are the dream team of Scream Unseen.
We are.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm James Michael Mulcrone.
I'm Peter James Ungar.
And Nikki.
Smartish.
So, you've been to cinema a couple of times this week.
I have. I've got 4 visits at the cinema this week
Coming up.
coming up, and we're right in the middle of it, so to speak. We're going to do a top 10. I'm just giving you. You're going straight into what I've done. I'm giving you a synopsis of what's going on the whole show.
Okay.
Top 10
Yeah.
reviews,
Yeah.
homework.
Yeah.
So, what we could ask me?
No, I love the fact that you're... See, I always think that this podcast punctuates a week because we kind of review what we've done
Yes.
and then we plan what we're going to do next time.
Yes.
You're basically suggesting that this podcast is slap bang in the middle of your week, like it's an inconvenience in between cinema trips, which I think is a really unusual way of doing it. I'm not going to say weird because I always refer to you as weird, and I don't think you are as weird as you make out. But I just found that punctuation quite
to differ.
interesting.
I think it is double-edged sword.
There
Right.
So there's a couple of movies in this week's top 10 which I don't know much about, and it's the number 10 and number 9. So number 10 is Freud's Last Session.
Yeah.
I have that one. So that September the 3rd, 1939, the world is on the brink, a monumental session with 2 of the greatest minds of the 20th century over the future of mankind and the existence of God.
I think this is the meeting between Freud and Einstein before the atomic bomb.
Well, let's find out. Is that correct, Nikki?
I'm just trying to see. It doesn't actually tell me
I thought it
that.
said C.S. Lewis in a little bit of blurb I read earlier on.
But yeah, it is a
Oh, is
C.S.
it?
Lewis thing.
Somebody with a massive brain.
And it's a debate over the existence of God.
Is that?
Wow, there we
I
go.
might watch that.
I might watch that too, actually. Sounds really interesting. Number 9 is Wilding.
Yes.
Yes.
Didn't you watch an advert about that?
Yes, but I didn't really take it in.
Okay.
So
Nikki.
it looks like it's a documentary style film.
Ooh.
It says Isabella Tree and her husband Charlie Burrell strive to breathe new life into an alien Neep escape, Kneep. They reintroduce native ponies, deer, pigs and other wildlife, allowing nature to thrive.
They made a whole film out of that. That's
Was that an
amazing.
alien Neep reserve? Never mind.
Alien.
Ailing.
Yeah,
Ailing.
it's not where E.T.'s
Not alien.
from.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, number
He's
8.
from next door.
Number 8 is The Fall Guy, which I liked and James hated.
It was
Brilliant.
average.
Number 7 is The Watched.
It was average.
It was horseshit. Number 6, Furiosa. James got it wrong. James didn't like it. Thought it was too much CGI.
That's right.
I loved it. I
You
thought it was like 2.5 hours of absolute bedlam, and I thought it was fantastic. Number 5 is the Garfield movie, which I refuse to see.
Yes. Why?
Oh, because it just looks so bad. I mean, it's doing very well, but it's just not my cup of char. Number 4 is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
You went to see that. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah,
yet.
you should go and see that. I mean, this isn't just me having to do the shit stuff. You should actually have to kind of do some of this.
He listens to this.
I know.
I know.
He
Giving
made
me
him
a hard-
producer.
I know exactly. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm not going to go with you, so... Number 3 is
Yes.
If.
I've been to see that.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It was. I cried. I laughed.
Yeah.
I touched my wife's knee.
Okay. Number 2 is the film that we are reviewing this week, or one of the films we're reviewing
That's
this week,
right.
which is Bad Boys: Ride or Die.
Ride or die.
Ride or Die.
Sounds like a doctor's appointment.
we need to refer back to the colon at the end of our review because I have a theory about colons.
Do you?
Yeah,
I bet you do.
And number one, which I haven't seen yet, and it's Inside Out 2.
I'm up for that. I might watch it on Sunday.
Yeah, it does. It looks pretty funny, actually.
Yes, it does. Yes.
So, yes, that's one of our things we're going to see this week. And that is this week's review for UK and Ireland's top films for up until the 17th of June.
It is indeed.
Perfect.
Is that right, Nikki?
Yes, that is. Before we go on, you need to turn your aircon off, though, Peter, and hold that thought. Okay, carry on. Just an excuse to open my can of pop drink. Do I have to hide it?
Can a
Or
pop
can
drink?
we?
No. We'll get sponsorship for that.
Will we?
Oh,
fine,
God.
yeah.
We get millions and millions
Coke
for that.
Zero will pay us bazillions.
A certain,
bazillions of packs.
a
Other
certain
colas are available.
brown fizzy drink that's made by Mars.
Yes.
Righty ho. So,
Yes.
we went to see a film with a colon in it.
We did indeed. A couple of colons.
Bad Boys: Ride or Die.
Yes. I didn't realise it was the fourth instalment.
Now, I didn't realise that it was really crucial to have seen the other three of the four.
Oh no.
Not really. I mean, I know what you mean. I do. When we get into the review, I understand what you mean. But let's face it, it wasn't deep in history and deep in storyline.
No,
there
but
were definitely references to previous
there were
movies.
definite references,
There
and
was.
the cast was clearly a similar cast the whole way through, and there was references to the fact that Will Smith's character's now girlfriend to wife in this film
right.
was his previous PT. That clearly happened in a previous movie. There are two other police officers who have obviously got some type of aren't they type relationship going on.
Well, they are, aren't they?
They are.
They are. But also I felt that it was a nostalgia trip.
Okay, yeah, I don't disagree.
The first 30 seconds, I felt like I'd been transported back to the 1990s.
Except they'd stretched the cinema screen out as far as they possibly could and as tight as they possibly could.
Absolutely.
Because their faces are horrific in this, aren't
Well,
they?
one particularly, Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence.
He's got the biggest face in the world.
It's so uncomfortable to look at.
I think his face did better than he did.
Well, it didn't move at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
Exactly.
think Will Smith's is pretty dreadful as well, to be totally
Not
honest with you.
good. Not good at all. Okay, so let's get on with the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a very simple story because obviously this is Ride or Die. I hadn't seen Bad Boys forever. I'd seen Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2.
I've seen 1 and 2.
We're in the same boat then. So we
Yeah.
both hadn't seen 3. We hadn't seen Bad Boys forever. We didn't realise that Will Smith's character had shacked up with some Latino drug dealer
Yeah.
and then spawned a child.
That looked nothing like him
No,
whatsoever.
but really tall and really handsome, and
Yeah.
all the ladies in the audience were swooning after him.
I mean, Armando
Yes.
is a very, very handsome thing
Handsome
to look at.
bugger.
Because they had to add some
Bit of eye candy.
Eye candy.
They did.
Yeah.
Because the two boys,
Do not.
the bad boys, are looking
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Bad boys,
Looking
bad
like
boys.
old boys.
So basically, the guys start off, and
Mm-hmm.
the plot is basically that their world gets turned on its head because
The ex-boss.
their ex-boss is basically accused of.
Captain Howard.
Yeah, it's basically accused of doing loads of big, bad, naughty stuff.
That's right.
Embezzling money, colluding with the drug cartels.
That's right.
And basically, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence go out to kind of clear his name. But
But their name is also.
well, it gets dragged into
It
it, doesn't
does.
it? Because the baddies
That's right.
basically want to get rid of them, and I think the best way of getting rid of them is to entangle them in this nonsense of nastiness.
I mean, realistically, although it aesthetically had that 90s vibe initially when it first started, even the plot had a 1990s.
It was.
It was an old plot that had been regurgitated over and over and over again.
And it was set in a Miami scene. It
right.
was. It was
Even the clothes, everything had a retro element to it.
Yeah. So, I think if you name a film, Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Yes.
I reckon they're giving us an option of one of those two things after the
Yeah.
colon.
Yeah.
And for me, it was Die. It was
Yeah.
an absolute. Or it was like I think it's the worst film. I've seen since we started doing this, and like last week was
wasn't
quite
good.
testing.
Yes.
It was like watching a rerun of one of those films that you liked when you were 12.
Absolutely.
And then you
Hadn't
watch
aged
it
well.
again,
Yeah.
and it was just awful by comparison, and kind of compounded by the fact that everyone in it looked so awful. They were kind of referring to the fact that Will Smith used to be a kind of quite sexy, womanizer type character.
But not anymore.
Not anymore. Now he's kind of like a stay hard dad, but it was...
Still wears a tight t-shirt though, doesn't he?
It just wasn't comfortable. None of it kind of worked. They even went back to having an animatronic animal in it, which was like kind of a baddie animal, which was still done in the 1980s style, which we kind of look back and laugh at. And,
Very much so.
It was just so poorly done that I wanted to find it. I wanted it to be kind of like a trip down memory lane. And I mean, I remember watching Bad Boys when it first came out, thinking, "Oh, it was pretty cool." And
It
like,
was.
all the explosions and barrel rolls over.
Absolutely.
And
Jerry Bruckheimer at it.
They tried to add an element of extra kind of comedy to it, and like, you know, Martin Lawrence's kind of invincibility.
That's right.
Bit
And
of
his
it.
whole sort of trippy thing about him being invincible, and it just didn't work for me at all. And did you notice the cameo of the TikTok character?
No.
Right. So in their publicity adverts, they're using and I think I mentioned this last
We
week.
mentioned it last week.
That's right. It is the character who will do a TikTok video highlighting that somebody's having a hard time doing something, and they'll really go over the top. I'll give you an example.
Was he in the movie as
He
well?
was literally in the movie for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So that broke the fourth wall several times. For me personally, it didn't. If it didn't inject the new characters into it, if it didn't inject the new sexy characters into it, I think perhaps pop might work better, because then it would have been an unadulterated 1990s retro thing. But because they tried to add new characters, it felt like a bit like a CSI television program.
And were you worried that this was trying to lead us on to Bad Boys 5?
I'm very concerned that they're using the new characters.
Armando coming in to be the new bad boy.
And if that happens, I'm not happy.
I won't be going to see that.
No.
So I am Eric Dane, who plays McGrath, who's like
I've
the
moved
main.
because of the light.
Oh, that's fine. The guy that plays like the main evil character.
Yes.
I really like him as an actor. I think he's really good, and he kind of does. He does what it says on the tin, like, you know, he plays that bad guy character pretty well, and he does that. But yeah, I just thought the whole thing was an absolute bag of nonsense.
It was. You could watch it on a Saturday if there was nothing else going on. The reason why I went, and I was actually on the verge of not going at all, because I thought, Pete's bound to watch it and we'll be able to review it. I thought to myself, if it was on the TV, I would have pressed play. That's the reason why I went, and that's the only reason why I went.
And would you have stayed? And would you have watched the end if you were watching?
No, I think I would have probably turned it off.
So I also had
crocheting or something.
had the experience in the cinema, and I really wish you were in the cinema with me, because I had a family in front of me.
Oh dear!
And the woman was on Instagram the whole way through the film, so clearly he wanted to see the film, and she clearly didn't want to see the film. The family behind me were talking in full volume about what they wanted to eat. Like, they walked in late to the screening, and they were talking about what they wanted to eat. Like, and I actually shushed them 3 times.
Did you?
And I'm not a big shusher in the cinema.
I'm a bigger shusher.
You are much more aggressive when it comes to the shushing. But
It's because he didn't know how tall I am.
That's why he waits in the toilets.
yeah, like when your shadow's cast on the screen,
Exactly,
with
yeah.
absolute
Bald head. You go,
huge-
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and so anyway, so I had to kind of tell everyone to shut up and turn your phones off and everything.
Yeah.
So, but I thought this is a similar type of film to The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
And to me, The Fall Guy delivered so much more of that kind of 1980s reminiscence than this did. And this is a film that shouldn't have been made. I also didn't realise that the whole Will Smith slap thing is still such a big thing. And
did you notice during the film a couple of times he did his little speech, but there was almost shadows of how he came across at the Oscars at one point.
Yeah,
he mentioned taking words out of mouths, that sort of thing, and I thought that left me a little bit sour.
It almost felt like this was the let's get Will Smith where he's meant to be.
Yes.
And I thought it was
It's transporting back to the 1990s.
It was a massive fail. It was
bit of Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah. There we go.
So what are you giving it?
I'm giving it a 3.
Wow.
I give it a 4.5.
Yeah, it's the worst thing.
It wasn't good.
There wasn't even any irony in it. They were trying.
It took itself far too seriously.
Far too seriously. Whereas I thought, at least with the Fall Guy, there was a little bit of tongue in cheek, and I know you didn't like it, and it was a catalogue of stunts.
Yeah.
I had to just take that. But yeah, this was a massive, massive miss for me, and I don't even know who this is targeted at.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. Because if it's targeted at the 1990s nostalgia, well, they're not going to get what they're expecting. If it's aimed at a new audience, they're going to be disappointed because it feels like an old movie. So it's a difficult one to pitch.
Yeah, and there we go. So that's it.
There you go.
That is our review of Bad Boys.
Bad Boys, Ride or Die.
It's Die.
Yes.
It's actually got a 7 on IMDb.
It won't be for long. That will soon go down.
Do you want some quick facts?
Yeah.
So, Eye Candy, as Peter calls him,
Yeah.
is Jacob Scipio.
Yeah.
Scipio. He actually is from Islington in the UK and started his life on.
Shut the front door.
Islington.
He's North London.
Islington, isn't it?
It says Islington here.
Yeah.
What else is?
And he started life on CBBC, things like.
As a puppet.
Shut up.
As a puppet.
And Holby City.
It's a puppet.
And
They told
Bob
us he
the
was from
Builder.
Colombia.
Bob the Builder, he's been a voice on. He was also in Bad Boys for Life.
Of course he
as the
was.
same character.
Yeah. A bit younger, maybe.
And yeah, so
Will's
the
son.
TikToker that you mentioned is called Carby Lane.
Carby Lane.
Oh yeah.
And yes, in the movie, Will Smith is repeatedly slapped across the face. And this film is 1 hour 55 minutes. It's the shortest of the Bad Boys films.
It didn't feel that way.
It's the shortest Bad Boy.
Yeah.
It was 55 minutes too long.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so what's the score, Nikki?
3.7.
3.7, and and that's what we thought about that film. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we took one for you guys on
We
this
did
one.
indeed. Okay, over to the next film.
It was actually a Scream Unseen.
Would you like to give us some clues?
I was just about to say, would you like to explain the process and then I'll give the clues?
Peter, over to you, Peter.
Basically, the Odeon Cinema sells you a ticket for a film that you don't know what it is. It's an up-and-coming... it's a preview of a film which is going to be released generally in the next couple of weeks. They charge a £5.
That's all they do.
And you're allowed to take a friend.
That's right. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I believe so. You have to pay the £5 for them.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you go, and then you find out what the film is as you're sitting down. Now, there's two types. There is a screen, unseen, with a N at the end,
Yep.
which is just a generic film of any
Could
type
be anything.
of anything.
Could be a thriller. Could be a comedy.
You asked me to describe this.
I'm adding to you.
And or there's a scream with a M at the end.
That's right.
And this is basically a specifically horror one.
That's correct.
This week was a specifically horror one.
It was indeed. Now, Sophie and I usually go through the clues, which Nikki's going to explain to us in a moment. And we usually like to figure out what the film is. Now, initially, I wanted it to be in a violent nature, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, it's it looks terrifying.
It does. And it's a horror film all from the killer's perspective.
So is it?
That's what they're saying. We shall see.
Because I heard that too.
But even in the trailer, you see different perspectives slightly.
Yeah, but you see, it's like a POV from behind him.
That's right, yes.
So I was a bit confused as to
I
how
know.
that's the killer's
Otherwise,
perspective.
yeah, but to be fair, if it was truly from the killer's perspective, it would literally be a homage to Halloween and also Jason, where you get that when they're looking through the mask and you hear the
oh yeah,
and they're doing this.
that's true. But
It's
yeah,
really good for podcasts,
because
isn't it?
it looks like that the POV looks like one of those shoot 'em up computer games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, would you like your clues?
Yes, please.
So clue 1 was Clover's chainsaws.
Right. Clover's chainsaws.
Clue 2 was 90 degrees to the horizontal.
Right.
Did you not do this already?
Yeah, Sophie did it.
And clue 3 was fall in, the ing is in brackets,
Yep.
in brackets, and then line.
All right.
And actually, Odeon, so that is available on their Instagram, and they also give you a synopsis of why they've done each clue now.
Please do. Would you like to explain? And then I'll tell what people what the film is.
Okay, so, well, no, because then it will give a clue.
Tell us what the film is. Then we'll
Yeah,
do it the
just
other
tell
way
me
around.
that. So the film was
flip
called
it on
The
its head.
Exorcism
Yes.
with Russell Crowe.
So clue one,
Yes.
Is that
Clovis.
colon Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not semi.
Yeah.
Clue one, Clovis Chainsaw. It says Joshua John Miller, writer and director of The Exorcism, co-wrote the slasher film The Final.
The Final Girls, which is a
Carol J.
brilliant film.
Clover wrote the book Men, Women and Chainsaws about gender in slasher films, coining the term final girl for the female survivor within slashers. The 90 Degrees to Horizontal film distributor Vertical are releasing The Exorcism.
Yep.
And clue
Vertical.
3, The Falling in Line.
Yep.
Before being renamed The Exorcism, it was titled... the title was Georgetown Project. Georgetown in Washington, D.C. is a town situated on the Atlantic seaboard fall line. So there's your reasons for your clues.
So there you have it. So it's The Exorcism, starring Russell Crowe as Anthony Miller, the same surname as the director.
Which is what?
Miller.
Joshua John Miller.
That's correct, yes. So Joshua John Miller not only did Final Girls, which is an exceptional film. I must get you to watch it sometime. Very, very clever film, which basically documentates the fact that there's usually... Which usually shows the fact that there is usually a female cast member that the last one's left, hence the Final Girl, but he also wrote Near Dark, which is a 1987 movie, which is a fantastic vampire movie, which to me...
I think I've seen that one.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's so similar to Bones and All. It's got that sort of gritty, dark edge to it.
34 weeks in, and Nikki's finally seen one of the films you're
I
talking
know,
about.
exactly.
That's pretty...
I like a horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're funny.
Near Dark, 1987. So, this film, the way this film, The Exorcism by starring Russell Crowe. Now, Russell Crowe is not the man he used to be, as physically.
Oh, I've seen a trailer.
Yes, he's a big chap.
Yeah.
And he used that to his acting ability, and he embraces that as an actor. He doesn't hide away from it. You know, with some actors try to hide it with girdles and CGI and that sort of thing. He doesn't do that at all. So when you watch the trailer for this movie, I instantly had a vibe of Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because what they're mixing is in the trailer you'll see that they're mixing filmmaking, a film being made. So you've got live crew, and you've got the film cameras, and you've got the lighting, and you've got the stage, along with a real exorcism. Okay. However, the story plot goes that they're filming an exorcism type of movie. And the priest, the actor who's playing the priest initially dies mysteriously, and then they have to bring in another actor to play the priest. Okay, so of course immediately alarm bells are ringing. How did they die? Why did they die? And so on and so forth. Of course, Russell Crowe doesn't care because, as far as Russell Crowe is concerned, he's a recovering alcoholic and drug taker. He's managed to convince his estranged daughter, who had been kept away from him for quite some time, because of his previous addictions and so on and so forth, to come back into the fold. Now, unfortunately, the reason why, the trigger that pushed him into that drug taking and alcoholism was his wife dying. Okay, right. So the scenario
is he an actor or a priest?
He's an actor.
Right.
So Russell Crowe's playing an actor who is an alcoholic, drug taking, triggered by his wife dying of cancer. His daughter's kept away from him for a certain amount of time because he was a bit of an idiot, basically. Yeah. She comes back into the fold. She's got her own issues as well. She's 16 years old. She's struggling with her own identity, her sexuality, and the fact that her dad is a drug-taking, alcoholic, big man who wants to get back into acting again. Okay, so that's the story. Okay. He is contacted because they are desperate for a new actor to take over the priest missing slot in this film. Now, when this film initially starts and they come into the set, it's a very clever set, because what you do is you come into the set and there's a gigantic warehouse and you see a full-blown house built. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the side of the house has been taken away completely. Mm-hmm. So you're able to see in every single one of the rooms. Now, initially, in the first scene, you see the actor who's playing the priest dies in this house. Okay, and because of the edge of the house has been cut off literally like a knife, there's no barriers, and obviously he falls off said house out of the room. The next thing you see barriers across, and I like that little touch. There's a little bit of realism going on there as well, which I nodded to, and I thought, well done, you, well done. So it's not a very complicated story. This I won't keep you long. Okay, so this story really is the story of a man who's struggling with his addictions, but also he's struggling with the fact that he was abused by a priest when he was a child. Now, they slowly but surely drip feed you little snippets of these little backflashes of him actually walking towards a younger version of him walking towards the priest's door, opening the door, the priest hold, and you see little snippets of the priest's crucifix, and then you see the young Russell Crowe kneeling down in front of the priest, and then it blacks out and so on. So there's lots of innuendos there, lots of nods towards sexual abuse.
Oh,
Sexual abuse. But nothing's really, and that kind of sums up the whole movie, because what this movie does is it continuously promises that it's going to kick off any second. It continuously promises that it's all going to, the whole thing's going to blow up any moment, but it never really does, because it's just,
even in the trailer,
yes,
it feels like there's an explosion.
Yes. So what you get there is you get it's very tense, okay, and all the way through you think it's going to happen, and certain things do happen, and as the movie goes on, obviously things have to happen, otherwise it's just staring at a blank screen. But even when things are physically happening at the end, even when, you know, the demonic possession starts kicking in, and people start dying, and things start floating, and so on and so forth, you're waiting for it almost to really kick off. It's almost like, it feels like you're constantly getting a precursor to what's going to happen.
So you're not mentioning who's being possessed?
I'm not going to say anything.
You're not going to say anything?
Not going to say anything about that. Okay. Because it does have some wonderful little cameos in it. So you've got Matey Boy from Friends. No, from Fraser. So you've got Fraser's brother, and I can't remember his name.
The actor?
Yes.
Who plays Miles?
Yes.
Let me have a look.
He plays an elderly priest who is he's there to give advice about how a priest should act. So he's coaching Russell Crowe about how, and all the way through the film, you're thinking to yourself, is he the original guy that abused Russell Crowe, and, you know, is he just an older guy and you're not quite sure, or is he really, or is he the devil? And you're never quite sure all the way through the film, and he plays quite an ambiguous role.
Because that would have left a bad taste in his mouth, wouldn't it?
It apparently did. Apparently did. So the story plot itself is a real homage to the Exorcist movie itself. Okay, they're almost the film that they are making is almost a it's almost a carbon copy of the Exorcism. So of the Exorcist. So you can see lots of references to that all the way through it. But for me personally, it felt that the stress worked really, really well. I thought Russell Crowe came across quite well as a troubled, mildly demonic sort of character all the way through it. And you've also got Sam Worthington, who was a massive actor at the start of the century, at the start of 2000s, where he was in the new Terminator, he was in Titans, and so on and so forth, and he was also in Avatar as well. And he kind of disappeared off the radar after those films. So he's come back in this film, and he just plays a chap called Joe, which I thought was quite weird as well. So all in all, I would say that it is a cliche possession movie set in an uncliche scenario, promising to kick off any minute. Doesn't really kick off. The stress works really, really well though, and the ending is, it's not a disappointment, but it's not, nothing surprises you. Nothing really surprises.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Nothing new here.
But
move on.
But horror does tend to have kind of quite strict rules, doesn't it? I mean, this is what I'm kind of learning.
You like a rule. You do like. I like it when they break the rules, and I like it when they stretch the rules and do clever things with it. It wasn't quite clever enough for me.
Okay. So where do we put this in rankings, or are we going? You're going to rank it, and then
I'm going to rank it. Yeah, I'm going to rank it. But I was hoping this was going to be of a similar ilk to Late Night with the Devil. It didn't touch the size in comparison with that, although it was a very similar scenario. It's the same sort of pace as Late Night with the Devil, because Late Night with the Devil really did plod along.
Oh, it
just
waited.
yeah.
Even an hour in, you were kind of wondering how it was going to be a horror.
Exactly. So I think Russell Crowe, his acting chops dragged everybody through the movie. He mumbled a lot, and he had that sort of very Marlon Brando-esque sort of acting style all the way through the movie.
Fat.
Yeah, basically. I give it a 6.9.
Oh, that's pretty decent.
It's not bad, but it could have been a lot better.
It's 4.7 on IMDb.
Ooh.
And Fraser's brother, did I say Miles?
You did.
I meant to say Niles.
Right.
It's David Hyde Pierce is the actor.
Right.
He's been in quite a few. He makes a few cameos.
Little cameos all the way through it, does he?
His most known role is
Obviously.
Fraser's brother.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to see if there's any facts. So it was filmed between November and December 2019, so just as COVID was kicking off.
Wow.
But obviously it was still unreleased until the 31st of May 2024, where the premiere was in Spain.
Right.
In the US and the UK and other countries, it's obviously premiere in June. So
Okay.
not too bad. It's the second horror movie about exorcism for Russell Crowe.
It is, yes.
What's the first one?
It was actually called The Exorcist. No, it wasn't called The Exorcism. It was called... What was it called? What was it called?
The Pope's Exorcist.
That's correct, yes.
But actually, he filmed that
After,
before.
yeah.
So he filmed this before he filmed The Pope's Exorcist. But that came out first.
God, that
and-
lockdown messed stuff up, didn't it?
Didn't
Yeah.
it just?
The movie Anthony Miller is filming is a remake of the 1973 Exorcist, but with the names changed.
Right.
And this also reunites Russell Crowe with Adam Goldberg after A Beautiful Mind in 2001. 18 years later, taken on count when it was filmed, obviously not when it was premiered.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't look overwhelmed.
No, but you can't be overwhelmed every single time.
No.
No, you can't.
Fair enough.
There you go.
However, 6.9 is you should go and see it if you like
I
horror.
think so. Yeah, if you do like horror, go and see it. I would recommend it. It doesn't feel that long. It hits the spot. You just leave feeling a little bit empty.
The trailer did make it look good, I have to say. When I saw the trailer last week, I was actually thinking I quite like the look of that.
I think the trailer pretty much does the whole movie.
Yeah.
To be fair.
It's scary. The trailer's scary.
Yeah.
There we go.
Anyway, so that's the Exorcism. We've also done Bad Boys. Over to you, Peter, for your homework, please.
Ooh, which one did you do?
So, would you like to tell people what homework I've given you?
So what happened last week was that you just kind of presumed that I don't watch any films and gave me a list of 3 films that I haven't seen.
So I was right then.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah, absolutely. And there was a theme.
There was.
And the theme was an actor.
Yes.
And
this actor's famous for within the horror community. He is famous for dying really horribly in horror movies.
And this is Justin Long you're talking about.
That's correct.
Yeah, the main character.
The dark-haired, skinny young white boy.
And where we know him from? I know him from about Jess. What's it called? New Girl. Do you know? And he was in that. Yeah, he was in that for years and years.
And I know him from a bit like How I Met Your Mother and stuff like that.
This is all alien stuff to me. I have no idea.
Oh, it's not about aliens.
With Zooey Deschanel.
No.
And I know him from, I'm ashamed to admit this, iCarly, which was a Disney movie.
Oh, right, okay.
A Disney thing, and he plays like a brother or someone like that.
And that's kind of where I knew him from. But I mean, that
From
kind
Disney.
of... Well, yeah, I kind of recognise him from that kind of teeny, young comedy kind of light thing. I didn't realise he was kind of part of this.
Oh, really? See,
the
I only know him from that genre.
He's like a cliche grown-up, isn't he? In like all the kids' kids' TV shows
absolutely.
and stuff.
But the more you kind of look into him and his more recent world, it would appear that there's like a little bit of a clique of people who work together and create a similar type of genre of horror film, which I didn't know existed. So thank you for that.
Absolute pleasure.
Okay, so here's a little game.
Okay.
So the 3 films that you gave me as homework last week were Jeepers Creepers.
Yes.
Tusk,
Yes.
and Barbarian.
Yes.
All of which star Justin Long.
That's correct.
So
And you know he's not going to get out alive.
I watched one of the 3 films.
Okay, here we go.
Because you also made me really, really busy this week.
I did.
Yeah, so I didn't have a great deal of time.
On the river.
So I'm looking, I looked at all of them, and
Yeah.
these are all rentals,
Yeah.
either on Sky or on Prime.
That's right.
And the one I watched cost me £3.95.
Okay.
So it's not too bad.
No.
It's a low amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take a guess as to which one that I watched?
So, I would say it wasn't Barbarian, because Barbarian I think is still free. I would say that it wasn't Jeepers Creepers, because I think that's free on Netflix somehow. So I think you went straight for Tusk, because A, I haven't seen it for a while, and I haven't seen it floating around any of the streaming platforms. And B, I would say because it's probably the most unusually advertised film on out of the 3. I'd say you did Tusk.
I watched Tusk.
Yes!
I was going to say Tusk.
I'm so pleased.
I watched Tusk because the poster for Tusk is weird.
Yes!
It is his.
Oh, I can't
it's
wait.
Justin's hair, eyes, and nose.
That's right.
And then it's the underface of a walrus.
Right, now before you continue, if you're listening to this podcast, okay, if you're on the treadmill or if you're going for a walk, turn the volume up, okay, because this is going to be good.
Is this going to be good?
This is going to be.
Yeah, this is
It's
going
going to be gold.
This is going to be good.
You know it. Go for it.
Okay, so how does this film start, James? This
You got 2 podcasters.
this film starts with 2 obnoxious podcasters. Which is absolutely hysterical. Because
familiar.
I'm literally sitting there. I'm just like, I can't believe he's chosen this film for me. I hope he's self-referencing at this moment.
And what's the name of their podcast?
It's it's the Nazi Party.
Yeah, not C.
The NOTSEE.
So clever.
It's so clever. So at this point, I think it's probably sensible to say
Yes.
that the director of this film
Yes.
is Kevin Smith,
Yes.
who is Silent Bob.
That's right.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Clerks, and
he's your quintessential geeky director, isn't he?
yeah, and he loves to reference Star Wars, and he loves to reference So, but anyway, so that is the type of writing and direction that we are talking about
Yes.
in this film. It is not
A film lover's film making.
It's like it is. Cleats and in jokes,
Clever nods.
and
Yes.
yeah, it is.
Okay, so
So
I'm
where
all
do we
ears.
start? So we start with we start with Justin Long, who
Yes.
we all said we kind of know from iCarly and blah
Yeah.
blah blah, and Haley Joel Osment.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yes,
Yes.
and it is. And I got to the end of the film, and I spent most of the film going, I know him, I know him. And then I kind of did I did a few notes afterwards. I went, of course, I'm Sixth Sense. I mean, he is, he is like one of the most iconic actors of all time.
Yes.
And he's in this film.
He is.
And so these guys play podcasters,
right.
and basically their podcast is basically a bit bullying and a bit derisory.
Yeah.
So originally, Justin Long's character was apparently a very nice, quite quiet, shy, unsuccessful podcaster.
Yep.
And then he developed a little bit of an edge about himself. And he became much more successful.
That's right.
And this is kind of like brought to us by the
That's
fact
what we
that-
need to do.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
You're a
F-
prick.
Yeah, F you. Yeah. You
think we-
smell.
I think we've done a bit of that.
Yeah, you're right,
To be
right.
fair.
A lot.
Anyway, so we find this out because basically his girlfriend tells us, doesn't she?
She does.
basically says, I used to like you," kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And now you're just a bit nasty.
Anyway, so we're in their first podcast show that we kind of get to see, and they're talking about a video which is called Kill Bill Boy.
Yeah.
Now, this is a video which actually refers to a video which was released in real life, which was a boy that was playing Star Wars lightsabering in his garage.
That's right.
And then everyone kind of like
Bullied
shot-
him, basically.
Well, they did, and they photoshopped it to put lightsabers in, or all kind
It's
of
gone
different
really
stuff in.
far as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where the video reference for this comes in, and in this video, he's messing around with a samurai sword,
Yeah.
and he chops his own leg off.
Yeah.
And anyway, these guys are wetting themselves about this bloke being such an idiot and bullying him and blah blah blah. And they're going to Justin Long's character is going to go to Canada to interview him.
Absolutely.
So basically, the premise of this podcast, a bit like ours, you're the smart one that knows about stuff, and you're trying to teach the idiot.
We've got the smart one behind us.
And
Smart by name.
The way they do this is that Justin Long's character goes off and does the interview,
Yes,
and then plays it to the other one in the podcast,
That's right.
and his basically reaction is live on air,
Yeah.
la di blah. Anyway, so flies to Canada.
That's right.
Gets absolutely berated on the way into Canada
Yep.
by and this is a real character assassination of Canadians, isn't
Yes.
it? I mean, it's like basically playing on their niceness
That's
and
right.
their
Good.
yeah. It's and so he turns up at the house of the Kill Bill boy.
Yeah.
And there's a long line of cars parked down the road, and then he hears a woman crying and saying, "Oh no, why?" And then he kind of walks over to the crowd and sees that they're in the middle of a funeral, and Kill Bill boy has actually killed himself.
Yeah.
And he's kind of left in Canada, not really feeling very sorry for Kill Bill.
Not at all. There's
Kill
no
Bill
remorse.
boy. There's no remorse
No.
whatsoever. In fact, he's more pissed off about the fact that he doesn't have anything to do a podcast about.
That's right.
And he's stuck in Canada.
That's right.
So he goes to a bar,
He does.
and he's having a few drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
And he walks into the toilet, and there's a letter stuck on a pinboard in the toilet, which basically is it's kind of dictated.
Yeah.
It's like voiced over, where basically the person who wrote the letter is basically saying, "I'm an old man. I've got a house in the country." If you would like to come and care for me, I have stories of woe and old which will baffle you and surprise you and la-di-blah.
It's like a podcaster's dream, isn't it?
He looks at this and he's just like, "Oh my god, my
gold!
my,
I've hit gold."
my trip is saved."
Yeah.
So basically, he contacts this guy, and then how does he get to the house? I've forgotten how he gets to the house.
Drove.
He just drives to the house.
And then,
doesn't he?
he drives, and then he drives at the end of the drive, and then he realizes that there's like this hoofing great big angled sort of driveway that he has to walk up. And by the time he gets to this bloke's house, he's got scratches all over him. You know, he's dressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so he goes into this house and he meets Howard Howe.
Yeah.
And Howard Howe,
He's a great actor.
he's a brilliant
Isn't
actor.
he?
It's played by Michael Parks,
Yeah.
and he is absolutely
He always
fantastic.
plays really insane people.
And he plays insane so well. I mean, literally, you're so uncomfortable. He's
Yes.
sat in an electric wheelchair.
That's right.
And literally every time he does the turn, it's
Yes.
kind of like you see him move the handle on
That's
the wheelchair, and it turns and jolts and
That's right.
and so anyway, and the whole time, Justin Long has been fed tea, and he starts telling him stories about his past,
Yeah.
and they're fascinating and amazing. And Justin is just he's just absolutely in this world, and there are objects around the room which are referred to in the stories.
That's right.
And one of them is this long club type structure,
Yeah.
which basically is told to him that
Yeah.
it's actually the bone from a walrus's penis.
That's right.
Because they don't erect themselves.
Apparently so.
They have a bone.
Yeah,
Apparently we're the
exactly.
only ones that don't have a bone.
Yeah.
Chuck them a bone. Anyway, so
Thanks for that.
as he's going through the evening, the evening's getting better and better and better.
Yep.
Until he starts getting a bit fuzzy. And that tea that he's been drinking
Yes.
makes him a little bit woozy.
It does. Now, bearing in mind, Matey Boy's been telling him this whole story all about his. The old guy is been tantalising him with the story about him and a.
Oh, a particular animal.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, yeah. So basically, he starts off telling kind of random stories about this, that, and the other. But then
Yes,
the
detail.
deep story is basically about how he was in the Russian Sea,
Yeah.
and his boat was sunk, and then everyone was attacked by sharks, and
Yes.
he somehow managed to get away, and then got onto a little rock or an island,
Yep.
and met. What was the walrus's name?
I can't remember.
It was
Dorothy or something.
Mr. Tusk.
Mr.
I
Tusk.
think it was called Mr. Tusk. He met Mr. Tusk,
did.
and it's quite apparent that
His relationship
Howard
with Mr.
Howe
Tusk.
wanted to have a relationship with Mr. Tusk, and they did have a relationship of some sorts, but I don't think it necessarily went the way that Howard Howe wanted.
I agree with you completely. It was like a one-way street, that relationship.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
Absolutely
exactly.
right. Unrequited.
He swiped left. The
walrus swiped
left.
left.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely. Anyway, so it transpires that Justin's character has been knocked out by the tea, and he's been drugged. So he
Never drink the tea.
No.
but
Never say I'll be right back, and never drink the tea.
while he's drinking the tea,
Yeah.
it's so obvious.
Of course
it's,
it is.
It's so obvious.
Of course it is.
And you know the way that Howard Howe is describing his relationship with said walrus.
Yes.
It doesn't leave much ambiguity as to where we're going with this film.
Well, it will do to the listeners, I think, because you're not watching it. Without it being described to you, they probably have no idea what direction you're going to go in there.
Okay, so I normally don't go too far into the description of a film. But this doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. So I disagree. I think at this point you start understanding... Okay, so what happens next is Justin's character has a really quite lovely dream and then wakes up
Yeah.
and realises
Yes.
that he's had one of his legs amputated. And so it's basically a real kind of misery type scene, isn't it? He's sat in a wheelchair.
You know, it's a very, very good point. It's very similar to Misery.
So he's sat in a wheelchair
Yeah.
with a knitted blanket over his legs.
Yeah.
And Howard Howe is basically just talking to him about how the fact that things had gone a bit weird last night.
Yeah.
And he'd been bitten by a spider. And a random doctor came round who can't come back. But unfortunately, situations basically got out of hand really quite quickly.
Yeah.
And we had to amputate a leg.
Yeah.
And so then he whips off the blanket and he's got like a butchered stump. I mean,
does.
it hasn't been elegantly...
No doctor did that.
No doctor did that.
No.
And anyway...
Not even a butcher did it.
Oh, it was... Yeah, it's a pretty ugly...
Gnarly.
badly stitched job.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he starts losing his shit, obviously.
You would do. If somebody cut one of my legs off.
Yeah. I can't get the doctor back out because he's doing rounds.
That's
And
right.
it becomes very apparent that Howard Howe is an absolute nut job. and basically re-drugged.
Yes.
And then he comes back round again.
Yeah.
And he's in the room, in the original living room.
Yeah.
And he manages to get hold of his phone and starts leaving panicky messages to his podcast partner and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they are weirdly together in the house.
Yeah.
But sharing a bed in their underwear. She wheezes in front of him without shutting the door.
Yeah.
But they're not a couple.
They are.
They
on
are.
it. Yeah, they're at it.
They're at it.
They're at it.
They didn't look like they were at it.
No, but I think they've been at it for such a long time. They've become quite well established.
Okay.
Typical couple.
Okay. That did leave me wondering. I was
Yeah.
wondering whether they did or they didn't.
No, they definitely did.
They definitely did. Okay. They definitely did.
Yes.
And anyway.
So while he's having his leg cut off, his girlfriend's having sex with his best mate.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah. So they go on a hunt for him,
they do.
and then, so this is when like the random actors kind of ramp up a little bit, don't they?
Yeah.
Because they bump into like two waitresses in a coffee shop type of thing, who Justin's character had originally met in the first.
Oh
place.
yes, they're almost following his trail of being his dick,
they're
aren't they?
following
Yeah.
the breadcrumbs, aren't
Yeah.
they? And basically, he was asking where this particular place was, where their house was,
That's right.
this dude's house was, because he needs to know how to get there. So when these guys turn up and see the two girls, who is Lily Rose Depp, so Johnny Depp's daughter,
Yep.
she's basically saying, "Oh yeah, the house is there."
Yeah.
And I can't remember how they found what's his name, Guy Lapointe. How did they come across Guy Lapointe?
I can't remember. I think he was also searching after Matey Boy.
Oh, for years and years
That's
and years. He was an
correct, yes.
ex-policeman. He
That's
was an
correct.
ex-policeman.
He was following the breadcrumbs from a different angle.
That's right, yeah. And their paths cross. And Guy Lapointe is played
Yes.
by Johnny Depp.
I know.
And I didn't know it was Johnny Depp.
I know because he's so over the top.
So over the top.
So
and,
cliche French.
And so made up.
Yes.
And then about 10
It's
minutes
like a
up...
pantomime French person.
Yeah, about 10 minutes in, I was just like...
Hang on a minute.
He looks a bit like Johnny... It's not... That cannot be Johnny Depp.
Isn't his daughter in this?
It's bloody Johnny Depp.
Yeah, it was,
And
yeah.
actually, that's what it was. It was only because Lily Rose was in it, and I was just like,
Hang on
I
a
wonder if
minute.
that is Johnny. Anyway, that is. Anyway, so they are now on the hunt for Justin, and they're on track, and they're trying to get there. In the meantime,
Yep.
in the House of Doom, in the middle of the woodsy and the sloping pathway, Howard Howe
Yeah.
is basically carving up Justin, turning him into a walrus. It's
Amazing.
it's basically he's carving him up, and there are two anatomical posters on the wall, one of a human and one of a walrus.
Yeah, no, just to illustrate it for the viewers.
Yeah, just
This
in
is
case
what's
you
before and
weren't
after.
sure what's going on.
Yeah.
But and then you're kind of sitting there thinking, that's why when he was talking to when he had his leg amputated, that he was polishing.
Yeah.
He was polishing a walrus
Tusk.
but it actually wasn't, was it?
No.
It was actually a bone from Justin's leg.
That's right.
That he was polishing into the tusk of a
Spoiler.
walrus.
Yeah.
Oh no, there
There's
is
no spoilers in this, trust me.
So that is basically
That's the film, isn't
that's
it?
basically what this film is about. There is an ending to it, which is
And
quite
which is
interesting.
quite poignant as well, I thought, the ending.
Did you?
For a horror movie, I thought, it's a bit of a message almost.
Well, did you?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Well, I took it as a message.
It's just really, really weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so this film is not brilliant. It's
Oh, come on.
it's not brilliant, but this is a new genre for me. Now,
It
if I
is.
didn't do the research, and
Yeah.
if I didn't look at who directed it, who was in it, I would have thought
On
it
face
was
value.
trying to be a serious horror
Yeah.
and falling quite a lot short of that. However, the fact that it's such a
Karen
comedic,
Smith,
the fact
yeah.
it's such a comedic cast, because it doesn't come out as an out-and-out comedy.
No.
But you do sit there thinking, what the
I know.
fuck just happened there? And it is incredibly tongue-in-cheek.
Yes.
And actually, like, in hindsight,
Yeah.
you look back at it and you just kind of think,
Actually.
it's just a comedy. It's
Yeah.
not actually a horror film
Yeah.
whatsoever.
A bit like Human Centipede.
But this is another step into another realm of horror that I haven't
Absolutely.
seen. This is my first journey into it, and I did kind of look back and I kind of thought, actually, do you know what? That is pretty damn funny.
Very clever.
That's
It's a very clever film.
Yeah.
Can we have a score, please? Because we are quickly going to be going over an hour soon, and we don't want to do that.
Oh, we blimey, Charlie! I gave it 6.5. I would have given it a 4.5 had I not have got the comedic element of it.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I think 6.5 is a fair score for that.
And you'd recommend people watch it.
Oh, I think you should watch this. It
Yes.
is, but don't expect to be scared. Don't
No.
expect to be anything.
I mean, it's gnarly, it's dark, it's nasty film. It has some body sort of...
Mutilation. in
Yes.
it. But Justin Long playing a walrus is pretty epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's great about him as an actor, and there's a reason why there's a following with him, you really relish in him being hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a horrible character.
There's very few horror films where you're looking forward to the main character being killed or did on. Anyway, so there you go. Thank you very much.
We'll call that the end of the review.
Yeah, I'll quickly do some facts. So I got it wrong. Justin Long wasn't in iCarly. It's Jerry Trainer who looks similar. It was nominated for some awards.
Chainsaw, please give me Chainsaw.
It was actually nominated for 2 Chainsaw
Yes!
Awards: Best Supporting Actor and Worst Film.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Oh, how funny is that?
And then, as I said, I'll try and be quick. So the movie was shot in 15 days.
Wow.
And Quentin Tarantino was originally offered the role of Guy Lapointe, but turned it down. He thought he was being offered the role of Wallace, and that's why he turned it down, which led to Johnny Depp being cast.
Oh, so it's a great casting.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp
Johnny
is
Depp was great,
fantastic.
fantastic.
What was the score on IMDb?
5.4. And then quickly, according to Kevin Smith, most of the budget was used to obtain the rights to the song Tusk by Fleetwood Mac.
No.
Apparently so.
That is brilliant.
And then one last fact, which is quite funny. There was a post on Gumtree where a homeowner was offering a living situation free of charge
Yeah.
if the lodger dresses as a walrus.
Right.
So this was in fact a prank post by noted Brighton poet and prankster Chris Parkinson, who is a fan of Smith and hoped to get in touch with him. And Kevin Smith actually hired him in the end as a producer,
Oh,
wicked.
which I
nice.
love.
Good
I like
factoids.
that.
Love that.
So,
I like a good
thanks.
factoid. Right.
This week's homework, please.
This
James.
week's homework is on Prime. It's a streamable film. It's a film about a chap who's lost his wife, and he undergoes experimental treatment. It's a film called Black Box.
Have not seen it.
No, I didn't think you would have done.
Okay, cool.
The pace of it is beautiful. It's going to bring us back up a level into intellectual levels, and I think it's going to be one of those movies that you're going to enjoy this one. I think. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Looking forward to that. Thanks.
So there you go.
I think we're kind of hoping that cinema's going to come back soon, aren't we? It has been it's been a lame couple of weeks. So
well, we do have next week. We do have the new Tom Hardy movie to review.
Bike Riders?
Yes.
Yep.
So looking forward to that's had some fantastic reviews already. So I'm hoping
has.
that's going to live up to the reviews.
That's released tomorrow.
It is indeed. So we will be reviewing that next week.
Perfect.
How can people find us, please, Peter?
Oh, how can they find us? So they can watch us on YouTube, and whatever streaming platform you get your podcasts from.
Nice.
Could be Apple.
It
It could be Spotify.
Could be
Yeah.
Google.
Other streaming platforms are available.
Absolutely. Any of them.
Yes.
And obviously we are on Facebook and Instagram. Let us know your reviews,
Yeah,
if you
perfect.
agree with the boys.
If you've seen anything in the top 10, send us a review. And if you want to send us a
Absolutely.
voice review of it, that'd be great.
And if you for a big shout out to Hannah and Richard at Tucker TV, we need your reviews for the not the Exorcist, but the other one.
What are you talking about?
The film did a review this week.
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys. We need a review from particularly, and we're going to get two completely different reviews from Richard and one off Hannah because they both see this film completely differently.
Do they? Were they the ones sat in front of me when she was on Instagram and he was watching the film and loving
No,
it?
they were sitting next to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
they weren't.
Okay,
Nothing to do with
fabulous.
that, Governor. So there you go. It.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be with you next week.
There we go. It.
Absolutely. Peter, Papa Pa's out.
Papa, 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 papa.
Popcorn Pundits.
Podcast.
Week
34.
34. Get in there.
I think next week you two should be in walrus outfits.
Got lovely
I am the
tan.
walrus.